There is money in your pocket right now, or a number on your phone that stands in for it. You have never once worried that it might stop working. That confidence is extremely new. Almost nobody who has ever lived had it. Cattle, seashells, silver, stamped coins, paper, gold. Every one of those was money. Real money, the kind you fed a family with, and every one of them is dead. Not retired gently, killed, usually inside a single human lifetime, usually with people still holding it. So, what actually kills a currency, and why does the one in your pocket feel different? Start where money supposedly begins and doesn't. School taught you that before money, people bartered. 2 goats for an axe. Historians have a problem with that story. They cannot find it. The Cambridge anthropologist Caroline Humphrey went looking in 1985 and put it flatly. No pure barter economy has ever been described. Anywhere. The barter village was canonized by Adam Smith in 1776, and textbooks have repeated it ever since. Real villages ran on memory instead. Favors, obligations, tabs. Your lunch went on the tab, and the tab lived in someone's head. The clay tablets hint at how heavily that could weigh. The oldest known word for freedom, the Sumerian amagi from around 2400 BC, meant release from debt. Freedom, literally, was a wiped slate. When people needed to measure wealth rather than remember it, they pointed at the pasture. Cattle. The Latin for money, pecunia, comes from pecus, livestock. In Homer, a suit of bronze armor is worth 9 oxen, the gold one, 100. Cattle solved the hard problem, a standard everyone respects. The fatal flaw shows up the moment you want change. Nobody makes change for a cow. Your wealth eats, wanders off, and dies. Babylon, around 1750 BC, under Hammurabi. Money now fits in your hand, and it is silver. Not coins. Coins are 1,000 years away. Just metal, valued by weight. The unit is the shekel, about 8.5 grams. The word means to weigh. Silver doesn't die, doesn't rot, and divides into any amount. But every purchase becomes a laboratory test because anyone can blend in cheap metal. Your merchant weighs, scratches, snips, weighs again, and only then hands over the stew. Buying dinner requires scales and organized distrust. Unless somebody powerful weighs it once, in advance, and puts their face on it. Before that, a detour, because the next money washes up on a beach, Shang Dynasty, China, around 1300 BC. Your money is small, glossy, and from the ocean. A cowrie shell. Don't laugh. Cowries may be the most successful money ever made, used across Asia and Africa for 3,000 years. Durable, uniform, countable, hard to fake, and a handful buys your millet with no scales at all. China loved them so completely that the shell became the written symbol for value itself. It still hides inside the Chinese characters for buy, sell, expensive, and poor. Shells cannot be counterfeited. They can be fished. Whoever controls the supply controls the value. Between 1700 and 1875, by historians' estimates, European traders shipped over 10 billion shells into West Africa, where cowries was serious money, much of it grimly to buy human beings. Flooded with imports, the currency drowned. A money you can scoop off a beach dies of abundance. Sardis, capital of Lydia, around 600 BC. King Aliata's mint takes electrum, a natural blend of gold and silver, and stamps every lump with a lion's head. The stamp is a royal guarantee. This weight, this purity. No scales, no snipping. These are the first true coins. Although, analyses show the king's coins hold less gold than the natural alloy found locally, standardization, or the world's first hidden fee. Scholars still argue, money is 1 minute old and already suspicious. Rome industrializes the idea. From 211 BC, the silver denarius, nearly pure, runs an empire for 4 centuries. And no, Roman soldiers were not paid in salt. That legend traces to a dictionary from the 1700s. The flaw in a stamp is that the stampin has an owner. The coin dies by the hand that made it. Nero trims the silver in 64 AD. His successors trim harder. By the 270s, what passes for Rome's silver coin is barely 5% silver. A bronze core in a thin silver coat that rubs off between your fingers. Prices explode. In 301, Diocletian tries to cap them by decree and fails. If the metal can lie, why keep the metal? Chengdu, around the year 1000, where the money problem is back pain. The region runs on iron coins, and 1,000 of them weigh over 30 pounds. So the merchants leave the coins in a vault and trade paper receipts instead. This is the jiaozi, the first paper money on earth, invented not by an emperor, but by shopkeepers with sore shoulders. In 1024, the Song state takes it over and prints the first official paper currency in history. Around 1298, Marco Polo devotes a whole chapter to it. Mulberry bark money under a vermilion seal. Refusal punishable by death. Back home, Europeans assume he is lying. Paper weighs nothing and the state stands behind it. And printing is easy, horribly easy. The Yuan dynasty makes paper the only legal money and prints it to fund its wars. The supply balloons from under 2 million units to over 170 million by the collapse in 1368. Lifetime savings turn to wallpaper, and ordinary people quietly go back to swapping goods. Barter, observed at last, not at money's birth, at its funeral. The banknote you would recognize is born in a goldsmith's shop. In 1600s London, goldsmiths hold your gold and issue receipts payable to whoever holds the paper. The receipts start circulating as money. Then the goldsmiths notice that depositors almost never all arrive at once, so they lend out the gold they have promised. That is modern banking in one sentence. In 1661, Stockholm's Banco prints Europe's first banknotes, a mercy in a country where copper plate money weighed up to £43 apiece. Its founder prints too many, the bank collapses, and he is sentenced to death, commuted in the end to prison. In 1694, the Bank of England is founded on a war loan to the king, and its notes still promise to pay the bearer on demand. Promise, there is that word again. So the world chained the promise to something that surely could not lie. Gold. Britain formally binds its currency to gold in 1821, the first nation to do it, and across the century, the world follows. Paper circulates, gold vouches for it. Surely the story ends here. It does not, because a gold guarantee is still a promise, and promises have owners. In 1925, Churchill re-anchors the pound at its pre-war rate against the economist Keynes's advice, a decision he reportedly came to rank among the greatest mistakes of his life. The overvalued pound strangles exports, and in 1931, Britain drops gold for good. In April 1933, Roosevelt orders Americans to surrender their gold at $20.67 an ounce, under threat of prison. Months later, gold is repriced at $35, cutting the dollar's gold value by around 40%. Then, on a Sunday evening in August 1971, Nixon goes on television and suspends the dollar's link to gold. Temporarily. The window never reopened. Since that night, for the first time in 5,000 years, the money of the world has run on nothing you can touch. That should be impossible. One small island had already proved it isn't. On Yap, in the Pacific, the traditional money is the rye, a limestone disc quarried 250 miles away across open ocean. The largest are 12 feet across and weigh 4 tons, far too heavy to move, so nobody moves them. When a stone changes owner, the village simply agrees, out loud, that it has. The stone stays exactly where it is. The money is the memory. Generations ago, a magnificent stone sank in a storm on the voyage home and was never seen again. The islanders decided it did not matter. Everyone knew it existed, and everyone knew whose it was, and that families stayed wealthy, trading a rock on the floor of the ocean. The economist Milton Friedman loved that story, because in 1932, the Bank of France asked New York's Federal Reserve for its gold, and clerks moved the ingots into a different drawer with a French label on it. Headlines announced that America was losing its gold. Nothing had moved but the label. That is the answer to the body count. Cattle, shells, silver, coins, paper, gold. None of it ever had value in itself. A cow is money only while your neighbor wants cattle. Gold is money only while everyone nods. Every currency in history has been the sunken stone, real exactly as long as people kept saying it was, and not 1 second longer. The money in your pocket runs on the same sentence. It has never been anything else. You have simply never been in the room on the day somebody stopped saying it.